What does BoardGame Forge do? It's an application that will generate the cards based on graphic templates in PowerPoint file and data in Excel, in 2 different Excel files. It will generate the cards based on this data, which is very useful to create prototypes. And when you do playtest and you have to update the cards, try again with new data. You have a lot of cards you want to quickly reprint. Well, I made this tool for my own board game Danger Race, my own prototype Danger Race, and it turned out very useful. So I thought some other people would like to use it as well. So how does it work? Well, once everything is set up, and I have here an example that is already all set up, you only have to upload. Normally this is even saved, so you only have to click on generate cards, and now it's reading the data and exporting into PNG files. And I will show you why it did what it did now. So it has generated here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards, and 1, 2, 3 of this sort, and 1, 2, 3 of here. So how does it work? So as I said, you have 3 important files. The first one is your configuration main file with 2 worksheets. So in green here are the key folders and files that you need to set up so that the software knows what to do. This is the folder where the execution report, so this file that you've seen here, will be created. This is your game data Excel file, and this is your graphic templates PowerPoint files. These are like optional values. For this, for now, I don't think you need to know what they do, but you can change that if you want. We will see that maybe later. And this is just something that I kept for now, but this is for future feature, so not yet available, and I will implement that eventually later. So once you have set up these 3 fields in green, what the first thing you want to do is to set up the dataset. You could say deck of cards, but because you can export something else than cards, you can say it's just tokens, for instance. I don't like to call them cards, so I call these datasets. In my case, you might have seen two folders open, and because I have 2 datasets in this example, I have weapons and defense. And what do you set up? And you see a third one, which is defense. But this is just an example to show you what happens if you don't have the dataset set up, because it's missing data, and I will show you what happens afterwards. So these are my 2 main datasets that I want to work with. I could say, actually, normally I have 2 datasets, but this one you can ignore for now. So you just select no if you don't want to export this dataset. You say where you can find the graphics for this datasets. And by the way, these are relative paths. So this is compared to the configuration file. It will look for the configuration next to the configuration file. If you don't, you can specify a full path, like this is a full absolute path towards the root of your drive. This is a relative, so it will look it will look for the configuration file and it will next to it. So if you put /2 export report, it will just go to the 2 export report folder. And this is the same here as I was showing. This is your graphics. So here I should look into my configuration as the root. Oh yeah, okay, I have a folder called cards, 1 graphics, and here I have weapons, and here I have the pictures that I use to make the cards. And here, these are just the folders that where the PNG created are exported. And the same for these datasets called defense. Once you stop putting any name here, the rest won't be scanned. So if I remove this name, then defense 2 would not even be scanned. But I put defense 2 here with an empty stuff just to show you a mistake that you could do, is that this name should be found in the game data Excel file that you see here. So as a worksheet name. So weapons here can be found exactly with no space, with the capitals, and it should be written exactly the same way here in the game data file, and defense as well. And defense 2, as you can see, there is no defense 2 here. We're missing our third worksheet, which would be called defense 2. It's not there, so the execution report will tell you, hey, the worksheets for the dataset defense 2 cannot be found in game data file. It doesn't say hey, but dataset will be skipped. It doesn't stop the whole software, but it tells you that there was a problem. So talking about the game data, well, basically the game data is data of your game. Here I have just 3 cards as an example. You can give a couple of different fields. We will see in the graphic templates in a second, but basically you have text or picture. This is a mandatory text because if you don't have a name, then the whole column, the whole scanning of this worksheet stops. So if the software will scan this one, and here it doesn't see any name, so it stops. So if you have something like this, with, I don't know, plus my wave 2, then the software will stop. It will not see that one. It's not a macro, by the way. So yeah, that's why the name is mandatory. It's called a mandatory text. Picture is when you want to replace picture. Text is when you want to have a text in your card. Here you specify the number of cards, of copies of this card that you want. Do you want 3 times the same? Then it will generate 3 times the same. You can see here I have Raygun Alpha. You can see Raygun Alpha 1, 2, and 3 because I asked to generate 3 times. This is just the probability that just for your information. So you can see it's not used. It's just when you look at this table, it's nice to see, okay, I have 3 out of a total of 6. So it's 50% probability to have to pick this card in my data, in my game. And here it's another metadata because it's exported yes, no. So if you don't want to work with this card for now because it's for an expansion or whatever you want to work in the future, again you put no, it will be ignored it won't be exported in the process. And all of this field, so the same thing for my defense set. I removed those, by the way, I removed those 2 rows in the defense just to show an example. If you forget these, by default, it will assume that you want a number of 1 copy per card or per token, whatever. But this number is 1, and it will assume that you want to export here. So that's what it says. It gives you a warning message. Say, the row to find how many cards must be exported could not be found in the dataset. Defense, a value of 1 for all cards is assumed. And the row to find if a card must be exported or not could not be found for this set defense. Yes, for all cards assumed. So this, it becomes a 1, it becomes a yes because those 2 rows were not provided. And you can put them back, of course, if you want to set up something a bit more sophisticated. And like you want several copies for this one, several copies for that. And by the way, that's why the formula here, I could remove that one entirely because the formula doesn't work anymore because it's based on the number of copies. I'll remove it. So you won't have it in your example of configuration. Now, the last file that I need to show you is the template, graphic template. The first thing you want to do to set up your own graphic, well, you might want to do another design, but this, I leave it up to you. You can reuse this one. Those icons are provided by a website called the Non-Project, and you have to check the license because they're just for prototype here, for example purpose, but I do not own them, so please check the license carefully before using them for your game. So the first thing you need to pay attention is first to put a selection, to show the selection pane where you have all the shapes names. Why? Because the software will look for these shapes, will look for the name, and it will search in your game data datasets file if it can find the same here in the field name. So for instance, here I have a card name for this shape. This shape here is called card name. And yes, I find card name here. It's, by the way, it's mandatory here. So, but you could also not put it in your card if you want. Anyway, so that's a shape that he found, and it will replace this weapon name here by the value here, Raygun Alpha. Same principle for any other text field. So for instance, here I have a shape. You see it's called effects. And here I have a field name called effects. So this text will go into the text here. And that's what you can see when it exports thing. For instance, the Raygun Alpha. You can see that this text was coming from this cell here. Raygun Alpha was coming from that, and so on. A couple of tricks that I use a font for some of the fields called NerdFont, which has special icons. Like they have a whole range of new icons, so it allows to use it in Excel. You see, this is not an image; it's a font. It's very convenient, but it's very tricky to use. In the pack, I provided the fonts that I use in this example. But sometimes, Windows is a bit fidgety. MS Office, this is 2010 version, by the way. In this computer, I don't have the latest version of Office. But however, it's buggy a little bit, this NerdFont. So you need to be a bit careful to test it before you can be sure that this template works with this font. But it's very convenient. Once it works, then you can just upload these icons. It's fonts, so it's text. You don't need to place images. For image, however, I have at least here in this template I have 3 images. I have this one, which is the symbol of the card. It's the one here, picture symbol. So again, it works the same way. You have picture symbol here, which is the shape name, and it's picture symbol here. So it will look for the cards, the file name non-laser version 2.png in the graphic folder that you've specified here, weapons. So if we look into, where was it? Here, the software will look for, what did we say? Non-laser version 2, non-laser version 2, that's this one. And it will replace this shape with non-laser version 2. And that's what it did with this. If you don't specify anything, like here, then it will only delete the picture. So for instance, now we'll make a Raygun Alpha with no pictures, just to show you that it works. Okay, I have modified my file, so I want to save it before launching the application. And that's done. Okay, and now we'll check my Raygun Alpha. And it didn't work because I don't know. Did I make mistakes? Because I didn't save. Haha. So you need to save when you make some modification, save your file. It's actually even better to close it, but now it's saved, so it's not better, but it's a little trick. Just think about save your files before you launch the application. And I'm trying again, generating the cards, and now my Raygun Alpha. My Raygun Alpha doesn't have symbols anymore. Those pictures that we mentioned. My template still, but the cards that use that exported don't have it anymore. That were exported don't have it anymore. I was showing you the template. Yes, one more thing that is very important is that you've seen this shape here. This is a bit of a special one. It's not exported, so when you create the card, it's ignored. The reason is that it's the slide name. And what happens is that your dataset here, name, is called weapons, and the software will look for the shape slide name and look for the word of the datasets in there. And if it finds weapons, it knows that this is the template that you want for this dataset. Likewise, here we have defense, so here I have a defense here. So if I want to create a new template, new card, then I don't know, for equipment, for instance, I will call it this one equipment. I will call this dataset equipment. And I need to add in my game data file, which is somewhere here, I closed it. I need to have a equipment worksheet, and I can just copy paste that to start with. I could have copied the entire worksheet, but you get the logic. This is my new equipment. Maybe I don't need all these fields. Maybe I will change how the templates look for equipment. Anyway, that's how you create a new dataset. For now, I will remove it. What else did I want to say? I think that's about it. Yeah, maybe a quick look to the execution report. So it will give you some warnings. If it cannot find a picture, I left this one on purpose. Here it could not find this picture. So I have non-7. I think it's for defense. Yes, this one non-7 PNG file. It could not find it, so it tells you, hey, what happens. The card was still exported, but with the wrong picture. So you need to be careful. Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching.